Time history in the making, the world watching Pope Leo XIV serving as the first American pope. And as that gets underway, one man in Florida is experiencing this moment from a very unique perspective.
Yeah, that would be Louis Martin Prevost, the eldest brother of Pope Leo, joining us from his home in Port Charlotte, Florida. From childhood games of playing priests with an ironing board altar to now watching his little brother lead 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide. Lou has a front row seat to the remarkable story, this American story. Lou Prevost joining us. Lou, welcome to the program, National Report. Good to see you, by the way. So if I understand this correctly, Lou, you were actually watching Newsmax when you learned your brother had been elected Pope. Can you take us back to that moment when you heard your brother's name and you saw your brother?
Well, yes, it's true. I had Newsmax on it. You guys were covering it basically 24 hours around the clock since the conclave started. And you always had that little corner of the screen with the chimney there. So it was easy just to put it on and you keep an eye on what's happening. So yeah, that particular day I was not feeling well, and I called into work and said, hey, I'm going to lay low today. Had no idea that the conclave would be over that day. So I thought, well, this would be a good day. I really need to rest because I'm not feeling well. So I laying in bed, back to bed, went to sleep, was kind of in and out. And the phone rang. I don't remember, maybe 10:30, quarter 11, I don't know. And it was my wife calling to say, just, quietly but loudly, there's white smoke, there's white smoke, there's white smoke. And I was coming back, into reality going, what, at the Vatican? Yes, white smoke, white smoke. And I said, okay. And she said, I gotta go, because she was at work, hung up the phone, and I grabbed the remote, turned on the TV. And sure enough, there's the picture with the white smoke coming out of the chimney at the Sistine Chapel. And I thought, oh, wow, they already reached the decision. Wow, great. Maybe he has a really good chance since it was so fast. Mm-hmm. I think it was like 3 or 4 votes, probably the 4th vote, based on what he told us how they did that. And so I immediately, I was feeling better. Oh, white smoke. I didn't feel better enough to get out of bed, but I felt good enough to wake up, turn the TV on, watch, and start listening and waiting impatiently. Tell us who it is. Tell us who it is. Tell us who it is. Not to blame you guys or anybody else, but it's like, why aren't you telling us who's the new pope?
Of course.
We wanted to if we could.
We did. Yeah.
I know he had to wait. So he went to the balcony and showed the empty balcony. And then all the bands coming in, the Swiss Army guards coming in. It looked like military units coming in, all, the big parades and people forming up. And the shots of the balcony were cool. And I was like, will you please hurry up? Because some of us were kind of anxious to hear who might have been elected. I had a sense it was a strong possibility that my little brother could be the Pope. And so the impatience is building and the frustration. Tell us who won. And then we saw the Cardinal walk out to make the announcement that the new Pope had been selected. And then he started to read the name as he read it in his Italian, Roberto. And when he hit Robert, my attention went up probably 100%, because as I recall, there were only 2 cardinals with the first name of Robert. And one of them was one of the people that had a good shot at supposedly becoming Pope. And he got to Roberto, and he started with the middle name Fran, and that was it. My mind blown.
You knew it.
They're going to say it's Rob. It's the only Robert Francis there is. And sure enough, Roberto Francisco Prevost, and poof, what do you think? It's your little brother. He's Pope. My mind just exploded. I still,
of course,
4 days later, can't explain the feelings, what happened to my mind. It was like, they say when you die, your whole life flashes before you. There was that instant gratification. He's the Pope. He's the Pope. A few minutes later, when I saw his forehead start to come up over the top of the balcony, and we could see it actually was him. I did have the flashbacks to when we were little kids and how we used to tease him about playing priest and tease him about, you're going to be the Pope one day, na, 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 and all these
You knew
childhood
it.
memories from when we gave him
It's
grief
nice because
for,
you're humanizing him
Right.
for our viewers.
Well,
Right?
it's incredible, Lou,
Well,
because we're speaking to a brother of the Pope. And I know your other brother has also spoken to media, which really just sort of gives us more insight into who now Pope Leo XIV is as a person. I know yesterday, of course, was Mother's Day. You grew up with a very strong Catholic mother in the household. If maybe you could share just what's going on in the family's mind right now as you're reflecting on this just historic appointment and really excitement for your family.
it is. It's tremendous. It's unfortunate our parents aren't here to experience this, to live through it. I joked the other day to somebody, if my parents were still alive, we'd be arranging funerals for them now, because the shock would have sent them over the edge. Um, they were, as you said, very religious. We were a very religious family, very Catholic family. Um, from the beginning, at a very young age, Rob, my brother, the now Pope, had something different about him that we saw as his immediate family, neighbors saw when he got into school, his teachers saw. People always said something, there was something, he's got a vocation, he's got a calling. We can see it, we can hear it. I believe it was one of the nuns when he was in second grade told him one day, Robert Francis, you're going to be Pope one day. I just know it. And some of the ladies in the neighborhood, the moms of other kids we used to play with, not even knowing what the nun is, but in their own, you're going to be Pope one day. You've got the makings of a good Pope.
Yeah.
So when we as his brothers heard that, we, of course, did nothing but tease him about it. But yeah, we supported, even though we made fun of it a lot, his playing priest, his saying pretend mass, distributing Holy Communion with the Necco wafers in the cup my mom painted gold for him to be a chalice. She'd set up her ironing board with a white sheet to be the altar for him. So he was fully supported, but never pressured. It wasn't, you need to go to the seminary. It was all on his
Sure.
own doing.
Sure.
Nobody pushed him.
And I like listening to
Nobody
your
had to.
story that everyone that seemed to come across him knew there was something very special about him, and now there is. I got to leave it right there. We're out of time, Lou. It's such a pleasure to hear that story. That is Louis Prevost, the brother of Pope Leo. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Lou.
so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.